Welcome back to The Five. In the early stages of presidential politics, the strength of a candidate is how much money they can raise early on. Well, the numbers are almost complete, and the totals tell the story. President Obama and the Democratic National Committee he controls have raised $86 million, while all the GOP candidates combined have raised a paltry $35 million, with only Michelle Bachmann not yet reporting. Republicans have been crowing all year that their candidates would raise lots of money against a weakened president, especially since corporations and hedge funds who gave to Obama in 2008 have switched their support to the GOP. No big surprise there, since Republicans now support corporate welfare for big oil, tax rates for hedge fund operators, which would make them pay less than their housekeeping staff for taxes, and continue to resist raising taxes on billionaires. So with all that going on for the Republican presidential wannabes, why can't they show us the money? Dana?
Okay, well, first of all, that doesn't include the RNC total. You said it correctly that this number is not just for presidential politics, it's for the Democratic National Committee combined. We don't have the RNC numbers, though they are less than they should be. The Republicans have a long way to go. But I would say that on the senatorial side, if the election were held today, the Republicans would win back the Senate. They are up 43% than they were before. I also think that when it comes to President Obama, one of the things I talked about was how many donors they had. Only 7.4% of the people who gave to him in 2008 gave to him again.
Your guy, George Bush, raised $35 million in his first reporting period, as much as all the rest of these Republicans combined. This has got to say something about these people that people are not excited about.
It's not unusual for an incumbent to be able to be this far ahead.
No, this is George Bush's first when he was running the first time.
No, what I mean is that I'm not surprised that President Obama has done well in this. And I also think that the hedge fund guys that you're talking about, they're hedging, they're giving to both.
That's very good. But you're turning the story here. Let's get back to the story. These cats ain't able to raise any money.
But the real story is that President Obama is an amazing campaigner, and he campaigns all the time. That's why he's got this money. That's all he's been doing.
When you compare the amount of fundraisers he did with President Bush, it doesn't even compare. All he has been doing has been fundraising. And look, I agree with you. It's still so early. The GOP field, it's split. I mean, how many names are on this list?
I'm going to pull this up here in a second. Go ahead.
Your $35 million number, where'd you get that?
The $35 million is the total of what they've reported so far.
Okay. Did you include the RNC? No. Did you include groups like Crossroads GPS?
What if I did that?
American Crossroads, who combined those two groups alone have $35 million between them, who are going to go exclusively to GOP
Eric, let me explain something to you, because I can't tell you about oil funds like you know, but I can tell you about campaigns. That's money they control, they can spend. They can't control these outside money. The RNC, the DNC can be controlled by the presidential candidate eventually.
Let's take a look
at the Republican, the latest Quinnipiac poll that shows where the Republicans are against each other in this primary season. Romney leads with a weak 25%. Bachmann has surged up to 14%. Palin's fallen down to 12%. Perry is at 10%. And Kane is at, well, the rest of those people are
there are, though, Bob.
Single digit.
You don't think that that's a problem? People are waiting. They're keeping their powder dry.
My janitor is running for president.
You can keep your powder. That's what happened with the British. They kept their powder dry too long and they got beat. I mean, the fact of the matter is the reason they're keeping their powder dry is they have no money because they got lousy candidates.
That's baloney.
Okay.
No money, because if President Obama wasn't so worried about his re-election, he wouldn't have held as many fundraisers.
Hello, and by the way, who are these idiots who are raising $86 million for a guy who's giving us 9.2% unemployment and $4 gallons of gas?
First of all,
4 more years of that.
By the way, those idiots include my sister and some other people.
I'm sorry, I apologize to your sister.
Could we raise the Obama versus some of these munchkins up here in this same poll? Okay.
That's an attack on short people.
Obama is 47-41 over their stoutest candidate. That's Romney. Not any of the rest of them can break. The other four can't break 40%.
It's July of 2010. But can we go back to one thing on this poll number that I think is really shocking, and that is how low Palente's numbers are. Governor Palente of Minnesota has been running for president for almost 2 years now. He's at 3% in this poll.
Not surprising, though.
I'm actually kind of surprised because I think that he's been out on TV a lot. He's been raising a lot of money. I know a lot of people that work on his campaign.
But the more you see of him, he's got that problem that the more you see, the less you like. When he starts talking about when he started talking about Lady Gaga, it was really, really awkward.
You can't stay awake when he starts
talking.
Listen, I will point out, Bob, I want to get a point in. The fundraising deadline is this Friday. That's when the paperwork needs to be filed. And I do believe that after Friday, these numbers that we're talking about will be put in a very different perspective.
Trust me when I tell you, you put your best numbers out early. That's the way it works. Michelle Bachmann could raise a lot more money, people think, but Pawlenty, just getting onto that point, a Minnesota candidate needs to do well in Iowa. The worst thing that happened to Pawlenty was have Bachmann come in and take off. And I think Pawlenty will be out of this race, frankly, if not after the straw poll in Ames on the 3rd, certainly by the time of the Iowa caucuses.
Who's gearing for VP out of this list? Who would be the VP?
I'll tell you, I keep saying I'm for Bachmann-Palin. I think it'd be a great ticket, and I'd be happy to contribute to it.
That's not somebody
Can we look at the new Republican ad? Do you mind if we look at the ad?
Go for it.
Okay. Do we have the Republican ad, their latest brilliant Oscar-winning performance? Do we have it?
You see, we Democrats have a very different measure of what constitutes progress in this country. We measure progress by how many people can find a job that pays the mortgage. The fundamentals we use to measure economic strength are whether we are living up to that fundamental promise that has made this country great.
There is brand new line. More debt.
Bob,
more trouble, more deficit spending.
You're the guy, you're the pollster. You brought up those polls. You showed Romney, you showed Obama, Bachmann, Obama, everybody, but you failed to mention the Obama against an unnamed GOP right now. How does he poll?
You know, I've been doing polling for 30 years, and you always put a generic up, and it's very close. That's right, but a generic is a perfect Republican candidate, and that's an oxymoron. A perfect Republican candidate.
He loses to a generic.
No, not the latest one, but close.
If they get a deal on this debt ceiling, that will take off a very important issue for these candidates that Bob's been making fun of in the poll. I mean, if Obama comes to the table and they get a deal, and he can say that he shrunk the size of government and he didn't raise taxes and he goes along with Republicans, that takes a huge issue.
When Mitt Romney was governor of Massachusetts, they were 49th in jobs created when he was governor. Okay, I guess we're going to have to get out of here. I love this segment, though. Can we just keep going on there and enjoy it? All right, look, coming up next, we'll tell you why Thomas Edison is probably rolling in his grave today. Thomas Edison. And then the Governator is back to the movies. That is, Arnold Schwarzenegger is set to overcome scandal, good luck, by returning to the silver screen. Stay with us as The Five continues.